All right, 7 o'clock, time to start our meeting up. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Clerk Cody, roll call, please.
Clerk Cody is here. Treasurer Rice.
Here.
Trustee Worley.
Here.
Trustee Lannon.
Here.
Trustee Hauk.
Here.
Trustee Milky.
Here.
And Supervisor Getting.
Here.
Everyone is here.
All right. This time we'll need to get an approval on the agenda.
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion Cody, second Milky. Discussion? Seeing none, we put up to vote. This is to approve the agenda. Clerk Cody?
Supervisor Gunning.
Yes.
Trustee Milky.
Yes.
Trustee Hauk.
Yes.
Trustee Lannon.
Yes.
Trustee Worley.
Yes.
Treasurer Rice.
Yes.
And Clerk Cody, yes.
All right, agenda approved. We move to item 7 on the agenda, public comment. This is going to be restricted to 3 minutes regarding items on this agenda only. This is an opportunity for comments. There will be no questions that will be answered at this time. We will start with Gordon Bloom.
Let me find him just a second.
There we are. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. I am the attorney for James and Jeremy Zalad. I'm sure you're aware that our view is that our entirely appropriate application for a special use permit and accompanying site plan documents are what triggered what we've been dealing with this police powers ordinance. We just want to go on the record one more time and indicate that we believe the moratorium is invalid and that the ordinance that is being considered is, for all intents and purposes, a zoning ordinance masquerading as a police powers ordinance. The multiple difficulties with it have been very well outlined by Mr. Quant in a document submitted to the board. We believe it is all of those things and is in essence exclusionary. And there has been talk that the changes that were requested by various excavators have been made. Those changes have not been made. And we continue to object to the adoption of that ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up would be Joe Quant.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Okay,
Yes.
great.
We can hear you, but you're not moving.
Just to basically. Hello? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. Anyway, just to follow up with the comments of Mr. Bloom, you know, I'm really not sure what else can be said. We've provided numerous comments, draft revisions. They've all been widely ignored. offering people public comment, but that not taking any of those comments into consideration in the drafting and revision process is really just the same thing as saying, go pound sand. The organizations or the people that I represent have formed a nonprofit corporation for the purposes of challenging the ordinance, which they most certainly will. That's unfortunate. It's going to cost everybody a lot of money. We've been very clear about the fact from the beginning that the ordinance violates several legal principles, that it's illegal as it violates the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. It's clearly a land use ordinance that's being created as a police power ordinance. Along the line, someone got the idea that it'd be cute to try to regulate land use by making it a police power ordinance, and being cute doesn't make it legal. Also, it's exclusionary zoning because all of the as applied conditions would cost millions of dollars and be so cost prohibitive that no one will ever, continue or institute a excavation or sand and gravel operation in Union Township. Also violates due process and equal protection aspects of the Michigan and U.S. Constitution. So I really don't know that we have really anywhere else to go. We've been shut out of the dialogue process. I mean, like I said, just listening to public comment doesn't mean that you're allowing our clients to be engaged in the consideration process. So let's not kid ourselves about what the ultimate effect of this is. So that's it. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Quant. Public comment is still open at this time. I'll give it another second or two here if anybody wants to raise their hand. All right, seeing none, we close public comment and we move on to our next item, and forgive me, my phone timed out, would be reports and board comments. First up would be item A, current list of boards and commissions. We do have a vacancy in the Planning Commission. I have a candidate that I brought forward earlier, and I'm steadfast on that candidate. And this would be Jeff Sweet. And this would be for Denise Webster's vacancy that expired in February. So I would need to have a second on that.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we do have second from Trustee Howe. Discussion? All right, seeing no discussion. We'll put this up to vote. This will be roll call.
I'm going to do it. Clerk Cody, I'm going to say yes, we need somebody on the Planning Commission, and we just need to fill that vacancy. So I'm going to say yes. And then we'll go to Hauk.
Yes.
Gunning,
Yes.
Worley,
No.
Rice,
No.
Milky,
No.
Lannon,
No.
so that is 4-3.
All right, so
That's a no.
4-3. And Mr. Sweet isn't affirmed, and at this time, I'm not nominating anybody else. So that would move us out of
We have a couple calls.
that portion.
Ben?
I'm not nominating anybody else. That's fine. I'm not nominating
yes,
anybody
you are.
else.
We have a
because I'm not
Couple of,
comfortable with either
qualified
one of the
people
candidates.
that have been-
All I'm going to say, I'm not going to downgrade anybody or talk bad about anybody. I'm just not comfortable with the candidates and their qualifications. And so therefore, I am not nominating at this time. If anyone else would like to apply, they're more than welcome to. But at this time, I'm not nominating anybody.
So potentially, this can stay vacant till the end of our term, and I guess we'll just have the next supervisor and board decide this. I mean, it just seems that this is an impasse at this point.
That's fine. That's fine. Or if somebody else wants to apply,
Okay.
we'll certainly take that into consideration. Board member reports. Start with, obviously, nobody's really been to any meetings, I would take it. So let's start with Clerk Cody.
I do want to, I have been watching the city meetings, and some topics I'd like to, let the board be aware of is they waived the fee for the 2020 downtown brick and mortar outdoor dining, not to exceed 2 parking spaces. So they're waiving the fee for the outdoor dining. And they did post on their page about having a one-time pickup for recycle. And I don't have that in front of me, but they are hiring somebody to do that just for this one time. And I think that we should follow in their footsteps and try to get somebody to do a one-time pickup possible. I think it'll help the county with the overabundance of recycle. When they finally do open back up, I think they're going to be overloaded, and I think it'll help with that. But that's all I have to report right now.
Trustee Lannon?
Yeah, my only comment at this time would be, I think it's unfortunate that only one nomination will be presented by you for the planning commission. That is unfortunate.
Duly noted. Trustee Worley?
I have none tonight.
Okay. Trustee Milky?
Nothing to add tonight, thank you.
Trustee Rice? Or excuse me, Treasurer Rice?
Nothing for me.
All right. And Trustee Howe?
Nothing. I have nothing.
All right, so we close that portion of our meeting. And we move from there to consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a
A motion
motion
to
to
approve the
approve the
consent.
I
consent
move
agenda.
to approve the consent agenda.
Yeah, I heard like multiple. I don't know who was first on that. Who do you want to give it to, clerk?
Oh, I don't know. I thought I said it first, but it doesn't
I
matter.
was gonna-
Whoever takes it goes.
Okay, all right. We'll
Doesn't
give it
matter.
to you then. So we have the motion by Cody. Who was second?
Either
second.
Brian or I have no idea.
All right, so
Well, Milky.
who checked the warrants?
Bill, it was you, right?
Whose
Brian, you
month is
checked
it?
the, yep,
No, I had last month. I don't know who has May.
I think I have June.
I don't have the formal schedule now that I was appointed, so it must be me. I will come in the morning. My apologies. I'm just assuming
so
it's
we
me. I
can't
don't know
approve the
that.
consent
That's
agenda
right.
then. All right, so seeing we can't approve the checks, I don't see how we approve the consent
I would
agenda.
make the suggestion that
Is everybody else's internet connection kind of goofy tonight?
Yeah,
Yes.
mine is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
up, I did.
Tim's trying to raise his
He's
hand.
trying to reach us.
Trustee Landon, you want to speak?
please. So, our list of warrants is in our board packet. I have gone through that information that's in our board packet. I find nothing to be out of the ordinary or suspect. We've each had a chance to look through our packet and I view these. So I would suggest that we could, in fact, approve the consent agenda because that information is in front of all of us. Anyways, from my standpoint, everything looks to be appropriate and in order.
All right, so you're on the hook for it then. Any further discussion? We got to make sure we get that schedule out, Mr. Milky, right? All right.
I'll get it out to him again. To everybody.
All right. Clerk Cody, you want to go through the vote on this?
Trustee Worley,
Yes.
trustee Lannon,
Yes,
trustee Milky,
Yes.
trustee Hauk,
Yes.
supervisor Gunning,
Sure. Yep.
treasurer Rice,
Yes.
clerk Cody, yes.
All right. Consent agenda approved. We move into our next item. First item in new business is going to be discussion action item, and it's going to be the the Township Board of Trustees is requested to approve the bid from Sinclair Recreation LLC for the installation of the Oak Creek Playground structure at Jameson Park. Mark, you want to lead this in?
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. The paperwork for this begins on page 28 of your agenda packet. You may recall that in November of 2019, the board approved the purchase of a playground structure. This was done in partnership with the city of Mount Pleasant. There was a 2-for-1 grant opportunity. So both entities were able to purchase a structure for the price of one. The equipment was purchased from Sinclair Recreation. They're a certified equipment dealer and installer. They're out of Holland, Michigan. We received the equipment in December of 2019. It's been being stored over at the city since then. And so what's before you tonight is a contract with Sinclair to install the equipment. The agreement also includes the purchase of the border around the playground area, allows for wheelchair accessibility into the structure area. There's 12 inches of wood fiber as a surface area, which meets specs of the playground equipment industry. The scope of the services for this includes the purchase of those, I'll call them accessories, and then also the construction and installation of the playground structure itself. There's a photo of it in your packet. They're kind of backlogged, as many of these types of companies are, as things have begun to open up. Right now, we're slated to have it installed later in the summer, August timeframe. They have indicated that if they can get us in sooner, they will. The amount's $20,066.44. Be happy to answer any. This is at Jameson Park, if I didn't mention that earlier. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the bid from Sinclair Recreation LLC for the installation of the Oak Creek Playground structure at Jameson Park in the amount not to exceed $20,066.44.
Support?
Jim had a question first, I think.
Motion support. Mr. Lannon?
No, I just had my hand raised as I would have been pleased to make the motion.
Okay. Norm, raise your hand next time. You're gonna have to cut your video off if you don't watch it. Motion, support, discussion.
I have one thing, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Mark, just a quick question. I didn't see it in the notes. And just curious, we got this through the grace of the city, and pretty thrilled that it worked out the way they did. And I want to give a thank you to the city of Mount Pleasant. Are we coordinating with them with the install at all? Are they doing the install for the city as well, or is that completely separate at this point?
That's completely separate. They have received they're two separate structures. They've received theirs. It's still in storage. I do not know for certainty, although I imagine that Sinclair is also installing it.
It was just more of a curiosity. Thank you.
Treasurer Rice.
Thank you. I just wanted to say it looked really nice. Do we know if there's going to be any more swings put in, or were those taken out completely?
This is a new.
An
This is a
additional,
new.
the additional portion.
Mark, you
I'm
want
sorry. You have a question?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm trying to ascertain your question. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just didn't know if there were still going to be swing sets there, or if the swing sets are being removed, or if this is just that new section.
This is a new distinct playground structure. We're not removing anything from the park. I believe the location is going to be more or less north of the pavilion. The existing structure is west of the hall.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. I think it's wonderful to give this park a facelift, because this is something that has been kind of with the EDA in particular involved in this, has been a point of discussion for the last couple of years, is getting kind of a forgotten area of the township. That park had just kind of, for the most part, been a little bit neglected. And so it's nice for the residents over there to have this facility, but also even for non-residents that or residents of the township that live in a different area to have a different location to go to, because it is a nice area. Any further questions? All right, so this will be
If I may,
for the approval of, yes.
Thanks for bringing that up. I did mean to mention that the structure is a piece of the Jameson Park master plan that is being programmed and funded in partnership with the township, the EDA, and you have money budgeted for the implementation of much of that master plan in 2020. The installation of this particular piece of equipment is part of your approved budget as well. So, thank you.
Further discussion? All right, let's take this up for vote. This would be for the Board of Trustees to approve the bid from Sinclair Recreation for the installation of the Oak Creek Playground structure at Jamison Park in the amount of $20,066.44. Clerk Cody?
Trustee Lannan,
Support.
trustee Lannan. Supervisor Gunning,
Yes. Support.
Yes.
okay. Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
can you hear me? Okay, trustee Hauk,
There's just Glenn.
Yes.
Hauk. Worley,
Yes.
Worley, yes.
trustee Worley. Clerk Cody, yes. Trustee
Yes.
Milky,
Milky, yes.
Milky,
Yes.
I also said,
Did you hear
I
me?
don't know, it's lagging or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah,
everybody
the
say yes, though.
Internet,
delay.
must be everybody's on Zoom meetings in the township right now.
Hard.
Wow.
That was everybody,
So it's
yes.
been approved.
All right. I think that
Everybody
was
said
a,
yes,
that
yes.
was a unanimous approval, correct? Okay, all right. All right, so that
Yes.
closes that item on the agenda. We move on to our next item on the agenda in new business. And this would be to consider the adoption of the proposed extraction ordinance. Mark, you want to lead this in?
Thank you. Let me unmute myself. Okay. Thank you. I'll just recap the meetings that have been held. At your January 9th board meeting, the board voted to put into place a temporary moratorium on extraction operations throughout the township. At the March 11th Board of Trustee meeting, the board approved the first reading of this ordinance that's in front of you tonight. At the April 8th meeting, you held a second reading on this ordinance. We also had a special meeting, I don't recall the exact date of that, where this was discussed. All along the way, you did have an opportunity and you did receive and hear from a variety of stakeholders interested in this. And so at this point, I don't think, I think I would just be repeating myself with any additional background. So I think it's up to the board to have a discussion on it. Thank you.
We received some correspondence, and I think it's appropriate at this time to read. I've got that I could find. I printed out some that we received apparently today or yesterday. Must be today. So I printed those out, and hopefully I got everybody. There's one in our agenda, and I'll read that one first. This is from Tracy Ray, REA. Our quality of life is very much in jeopardy in the surrounding area of this field if it becomes a gravel pit with a gravel train highway. How can this even be considered when the end result is damning to our established way of life? They come in, make, I'm not going to use the word here, but it's 4 letters, make tons of money, and we have to deal with all the inconveniences that come with it: dust, noise, tore up roads, no pit on Millbrook Road, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Next one, Denise Richards. Union Township Board of Trustees. At this important juncture in time, decades of the future is at stake for the township and its residents. As a board, you are tasked with a life-altering decision, which pits the priorities of community members and their safety alongside the documented risks of sand and gravel operations near homes and on the operations haul routes. All parties involved have had equal amounts of opportunities and methods to voice their concerns since at least December 2019. None have been excluded from the conversation. Board members have considered the concerns of extractors and made revisions to the document accordingly. It is not an issue of the people on Millbrook Road against one person, as was just suggested by a board member at the special meeting. It is a township ordinance that will serve and protect the entire township and all of its community members. It will regulate any and all pit operations in the township, regulations that are responsible and necessary. Once again, I urge you to vote to offer the rights of protections to me and to all respectively, Denise Richards, Union Township resident. Next one is fairly lengthy, so bear with me. This is from Tammy. My name is Tammy. I live on almost corner of Lincoln and Millbrook. I have lived on Lincoln Road for 8 years now, and upkeep on Lincoln over almost 40 years now has been less than desirable. My ex-father-in-law, Jim Recker Sr., told me many stories about the road commission in Union Township failed to keep this road, and how they, instead of fixing the road properly, just keep taking from the fields, and yards road get wider and out fields and yards get smaller. I cannot tell you how many shocks and struts I have gone through in my vehicle, too many to keep track of, because of the road get condition and the traffic, large semis flying down our roads, jacked up trucks, cars flying down this road. The pit would be more traffic, more road abuse, and making it severely unsafe to walk down the not towed, but road. I'm going to not use the 4-letter term here. You can't walk down the road with your dog now for the fear of somebody hitting you now. My back of my home is literally approximately 8 feet from the property line of the proposed pit. This would literally be a nightmare for me and pretty much ruin my life. I work at a busy surgeon's, and I love the peace and quiet. I feel free in my backyard, and I will lose that peaceful feeling. The dust will be unbearable, course, to a man's point of view. That is nothing to them and proves obviously they never pick up a dust rag. I will gladly hand one over and allow them to learn, especially the crisp, warmer. The T makes very nasty comments telling me to move if I don't like it, stalking our page and starting fights. You don't call that harassment, I'm assuming. The U.S. people who this is going to affect versus just a stupid truck driver who had a big mouth. It's my life. It's going to affect not his or yours. How dare you all make a decision about our lives with only your greed in mind? This is agricultural, not industrial. Why destroy natural wildlife? I have deer that come in my backyard, birds singing, and love drying clothes outside. Men don't appreciate that because they feel it's a woman's job to deal with that. Well, hello, people. It's a way of life that I won't be able to enjoy. I have asthma and am allergic to dust. You will literally be killing me. I can't afford to move and shouldn't have to move due to everyone's ignorance and greed. My ex-fiance works at Hubsher's. I've been inside there several times. It's not pleasant. Dust, 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 1,000 acres of stone, dirt, etc. You want the pit, you live next to it then. When my ex come home to wash his clothes, it was nothing but dirt in his hair, his skin, his pores, nothing but dirt, gritty sand. If he comes home like that, imagine what he is breathing in daily. If you pass this pit thing and allow them to put it in, you're killing a community of people. I have stage 3 kidney disease. I didn't need this crap in my backyard. I have included a video to demonstrate what I'm trying to say. You all just didn't get it, but we are living it. It's not your lives, it's ours, and no one has any human compassion. I don't want a pit in my backyard, plain and simple. Video will be in separate email. Thank you, Tammy Pierce, 5715 South Lincoln Road. Next one is James and Shelley Short. My wife and I reside at 5620 South Lincoln Road. We vehemently oppose the opening of the proposed sand gravel pit at Lincoln and Millbrook Road. My wife is a frontline nurse at Gratiot Hospital and works the midnight shift. We believe the noise from the plant's operation and the gravel train traffic will disrupt much needed sleep. We are also concerned with road degradation due to constant heavy traffic. We also have 4-H kids here at the farm with horses and horsemanship, care and feeding, etc. We are concerned for their safety. Thank you for your concern. We urge the board to vote no on the proposal. And that again is James and Shelley Short. That's the only correspondence that I saw beyond some Facebook stuff that is more messaging as opposed to a letter to the Board of Trustees. So I'm not gonna go through and try to read all that stuff. But it's on their Facebook page if anybody wants to look it up. So at this point, we would entertain discussion. I'm looking for hands. Do everybody speak at once? Okay, Trustee Lannon.
Thank you. Generally, a motion is made prior to discussion, so I will make a motion for the Union Township Board of Trustees to consider the adoption of the proposed extrication ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Lannon.
I support.
Support Trustee Worley. Discussion. Trustee Milky.
Thank you, Supervisor Gunning. Just briefly, I spent numerous hours, many hours going back through this, back through the input that we received, both verbally in our correspondence in the packets. And I'm pretty proud of the work the township's done. I applaud our staff in helping get us down this road. And then I applaud the work of the board. We've spent many meetings on this. And this is done to protect the health and safety of the public, as well as the rights of landowners with regards to regulating extraction operations within our township. As I said, we've been hearing from the public for about 2 months now in various ways. I've heard allegations that this board has not taken the input from interested parties, and I just simply feel that's not based on fact. We've asked for input, received it, deliberated on it, and incorporated that public input. What we have not done is ask residents or extraction companies to write an ordinance for us to pass. That would be negligent on our part to ask the fox to regulate the hen house. There are plenty of cases across Michigan where gravel mining operations have had an adverse effect on drinking water, air quality, public health, and quality of life. Go ahead and search it. It's all over. Per our global ends, and I think this is really important, per our global ends, our goals for our township, we must protect our community. That means global health, right, for our public at large. That does not mean that gravel mining must cease in our township. The need to mine gravel and sand is a critical part of our need for our community. It does mean that the activities of extraction should be regulated and monitored, and that is exactly what I feel this ordinance does. I do see that the primary goal of this ordinance we have in front of us is trying to protect the health of our community and make it a safer community to live and work in. For that, I'm pretty proud of the work that we've put into this. Thank you.
Treasurer Rice.
Brian, I have to agree with you on that. And I also was going over this the last few weeks, just going over everything in general. And I wrote a little something, so bear with me here. But as Union Township Board of Trustees members, it is our job to make the best decisions for the community. We are looking at an ordinance update. Nothing more, nothing less. I have heard several people mention over the last several meetings how this ordinance will affect certain extractors. This is not what we are here for. We are here to look at our ordinances. I am very interested in the extractors' input, as the ordinance will affect anyone wanting a sand and gravel pit. However, we have a duty to everyone. We are not here to tell people whose business is viable and whose is not. It is up to the business owner to see if within the bounds of these ordinances, whether their business plan is viable. We are here to look at the ordinance and make sure we are doing our part for all residents in our township by protecting the residents and the township with our ordinances. We have given lots of opportunities for business owners to speak and have made changes where we thought we should. Now it's time to make sure we do what we came here to do, and that's make sure that our global ends and master plan are followed when developing this ordinance. We want to indeed help this township continue to evolve, but we also want to make sure the health and safety of our residents are top priority. These are their homes and properties that they have purchased to live in. We want to preserve the natural environment. If you look at the master plan, the first point on our goals is preserve and protect key natural and agricultural resources. 1.3 says preserve areas suitable for farming and agriculture related uses. We need to make sure that when we are making changes to these ordinances, as it is our plan to continually update these ordinances, that we look at all aspects and do our due diligence, but ultimately keep in mind who we do this for, all residents. It is our job to protect the township and its residents, to make sure we are following our master plan and global ends, that the health and safety of our residents are considered and to continue to protect our wildlife.
All right, looking for more hands?
So, yep.
I don't think anybody's really questioning whether or not we need to have
Yep, there's-
an ordinance revision. I think that it's needed. I think that, our other ordinance was dated. I guess my biggest problem with the way this happened is the way it went down from the standpoint of the procedure. I still question the methodology of not having a public hearing at the beginning. I questioned that from the beginning. I understand now that it was put forward as a police ordinance and therefore didn't need it. But I really, if you're regulating an industry, then this is affecting their livelihoods. This is affecting residents too, no question about it. But I look at this, the process. I think that the way that was done pitted everybody against each other. And I really think that personally that the way the township handled it was poorly. Trustee Worley.
Thank you. We've had 4 board meetings since March 11th, when the extraction ordinance was first introduced. We've received, reviewed, deliberated, and voted on extensive verbal and written public input from business owners, from residents, and other interested parties. And this has resulted in the incorporation of 15 separate changes to the proposed ordinance. So we did listen and we were responsive to what we were hearing as the concerns from people chiming in. These revisions, though, were primarily made at the request of the extractors. And I do believe that these revisions have improved our ordinance. But I think it's imperative that we balance our consideration of this ordinance by considering the concerns of the residents as well. First, I want to reiterate what I stated in our special meeting on April 30th. I said that this was a well-written, comprehensive, thoughtful approach to updating this ordinance. It provides for protection of the township, its residents, the business owners, and the environment. I think it represents fairness for all. So, what are the residents asking for? I think what the residents are asking for can be summed up in one word: protection. They want protection that their rural neighborhood will be preserved, their houses will be protected, that their property values will be kept up, there'll be preservation of the environment and the farmlands, and most importantly, that their safety, well-being, and quality of life will be ensured. According to our policy governance, the Board of Trustees has reaffirmed twice now during our duration that we all support and abide by our policy governance and by the global ends. Again, I want to reiterate what the global ends are, which are basically our goals as a board. First and foremost, 1, community well-being and common good. 2, prosperity through diversity, cultural and social diversity. 3, safety. 4, health. 5, natural environment. And 6, commerce. prior to our revising our master plan in 2016, we sent out a township-wide survey looking at what it was that the residents wanted in that master plan. I'll list what their major concerns were. This isn't in any particular order, but what was presented was presentation to preserve farmland and the environment, to protect the integrity of neighborhoods and property values. They asked for stronger zoning codes and enforcement. That was said numerous times. There was an emphasis upon safety of roads, sidewalks, pathways, etc. And also they talked about quality of life. I think that the proposed extraction ordinance provides the safeguards that the residents are requesting, and I think it provides a set of guidelines for the extractors to do their operations safely and effectively. It also allows for the township to govern and enforce the ordinance, and it emphasizes protection of our environment. So I think that we have to consider this in a very balanced manner. I appreciate the deliberation that we have all put in on this as a board. We've had 4 meetings now. I know that this is a tough decision, but I think it's one that we all need to consider all sides and look at an ordinance that I think protects everyone. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right. Let's call this to vote. I'll abstain until the end.
Brian's hand is raised.
I just want clarification. Thank you. Clarification on the motion. The motion was to consider adoption, or which to me, it was unclear as to what the actual motion, the intent of it is. So if you can clarify that, Tim Lannon, I believe you made the motion.
To reiterate, my motion was for the Union Township Board of Trustees to adopt the proposed extraction ordinance.
Thank you.
Did you want to retract your original motion then, Tim, and restate it? I had it down that you said to consider also. Just to be clear on what your motion was. If the original motion was different than your second motion.
Okay, I think maybe you're saying I might have said consider adoption or adoption.
Yeah.
I will include the word consider if that was in my first rate group. I would make a motion for the Union Township Board of Trustees to consider adoption of the proposed extraction ordinance.
All right, so we had a motion from Trustee Landon. I think it was seconded by Trustee Worley, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. And then Trustee Landon, I see you have your hand up. Was there something else you wanted to?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Yep.
So this is a roll call vote, and it's up to our clerk to make the roll call. So I believe it'd be out of line for you to request in what position you're making your vote, Ben, saying you'll abstain till the end. I think it's up to the clerk to present the roll call. If you can show law that is counter to that, then please do in a very short time.
In a very short time, huh? It doesn't matter to me, whatever you guys want to do. So however Lisa wants to state it is fine with me. And so the motion was to consider the adoption of the proposed extraction ordinance. The approval, I should say, is it was stated, right? Consider the approval of the proposed adoption or extraction ordinance. We had a motion from Lannon and a second from Worley. We do have one hand up from Trustee Milky.
I think Clerk Cody has her hand up before me too.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just looking for the blue hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
It messes my system up, so I don't like doing that.
Okay.
I would like to ask Trustee Lanning to make a friendly amendment and take out the word consider.
Yeah.
His motion.
I have no problem doing that. I could amend my motion to read for the Union Township Board of Trustees to adopt the proposed extraction ordinance.
And I would support that revision. I think it's better stated than.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
And that addresses why I had my hand up, Supervisor Gunning.
All righty. Okay, so this would be to adopt the proposed extraction ordinance, correct? Motion Lannon, second Worley. Clerk Cody, roll call.
Trustee Worley,
Yes.
Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes. Trustee Lannon,
Yes.
Trustee Hauk,
Yes.
Supervisor Gunning,
I'll vote yes.
Trustee Milky,
Yes.
all yes.
All right. The extraction ordinance is approved. And we move to our next item on the agenda, which, excuse me again, because I'm working off of my phone. Let me go back to page 1.
Extended public comment.
Is extended public comment. And this is going to be restricted to 5 minutes regarding any issue. And this is an opportunity for comments only. Questions the board will not be answered at this time, so be looking for hands. Do we have anyone that would wish to speak in public comment? Going once, going twice. I don't see any hands up. So we, with this point in time, close public comment. We move to item 12, manager's comments. Mark.
You're muted?
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. I just have one comment to let the board know that the posting for the assessing position went up a week ago Monday. And as I indicated previously, we're going down 2 tracks simultaneously. One is seeking applicants for a W-2 position to fill it. And the other track, opening up the opportunity for firms to respond to a request for a proposal that's out there. The deadline for that, for submissions of either one of those, is May 29th. Thank you.
I have a question on that.
I couldn't hear which position you said that was for.
Assessor.
Okay.
Sorry, I lost you.
Bill?
I have a question on that, Mark. Where you said that it's going to go out to firms, did I read it right where it's going to be 16 hours a week?
That's what I've indicated in the proposal, a minimum of 16 hours where they're present, physically present at Township Hall in the office. They would be available electronically, phone, and otherwise throughout the workday, throughout the week, but they'd be physically present at a minimum that number of hours per week.
All right, I just wondered because I don't know, it seems like our current position is taking 60 hours a week.
And that's not, that's just kind of in the office paperwork. That doesn't cover the amount of time they'd be out in the field
Oh,
doing
Okay.
field work. It's just physically in the office, in the building.
Trustee Milky.
Thank you, Supervisor Gunning. So I assume, Mark, from what you just indicated, that you're intending it to be a full-time position. The 16 hours was listed as requirement as far as in-office work. Is that accurate? I think that's what
For-
Trustee Hauk is getting at.
no, I'm a subcontractor. If we
Yeah, for-
subcontracted it out, Brian, the way I read it, it would be for 16 hours a week, like Mark just said, in the office, if it was subcontracted out,
Thank you. I missed that. Thank you.
not a W-2 position.
The W-2 position would be a 40-hour full-time position.
Okay, yep, thank you.
All right. Any further questions for the manager? Seeing none, we go to final board member comment, item 13. Trustee Milky.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring us full circle back to, I think it was our last face-to-face meeting as a board. So this would be pre-state stay-at-home orders. And I believe Supervisor Gunning and I both talked to the board about looking at the policy regarding neighborhood road cost assessment and how that was being done. And with the hope that that be on a future agenda item. And we haven't had that discussion yet. And just to be clear, what I'm referring to is that the township has a fund which we use to help finance or assist in financing road assessment districts for neighborhoods. And I'd like to have a discussion at our next board meeting, if the board would be willing, just so I'm very clear as to how the current policy is being implemented and we get a chance to review that process.
I would agree to that.
I had had a long discussion with Pat Mayfield yesterday on this, who's heading up the McGurk subdivision project. And there's a lot of questions, obviously, that about what our policies were prior, when they changed, such as a 15% administrative fee, and a drop in the amortization from 10 years down to 5. When that happened, why it happened, and the justification for the 15% administrative fee, which seems like it's contrary to what the original, and we have what, Brian, your road was redone by a special assessment district in your neighborhood?
That's correct.
Norm, yours was?
Yes.
Tim, yours was? And in all those
Yeah, our
cases,
neighborhood has funded a couple overlays in the
yeah.
past 20 years.
And in all those cases, it was a 10-year amortization with a 1% over prime rate, with no administrative fee. There's no fees from the road commission on these projects that I was told. I think that Trustee Milky's also talked to them about that. So I guess the big question is where this new policy came from, why it came from, what the justification for the expenses are, and why the amortization was dropped in half, because it makes a difference between these neighborhoods are able to do these projects or not.
So, yes,
So I would like to
think
see that on the
my-
next agenda too.
Okay, yeah, that was my point, was I'd like to put on the agenda so that staff could prepare whatever they need to assist in our discussion. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay,
You need one more
Anybody
member
else?
to get it on the agenda.
I would support that.
yep, without question, needs to be on there. All right, any final board member comments? Trustee Howe.
Yes, I just wanted to say, we know that there's not going to be a fair this year. There's hundreds of kids out there that take animals to the fair. So let's see if we can't figure out ways to support those kids. If someone's interested in buying something, call the county extension agent and ask him if he can give you a name of a kid that has maybe a steer, a lamb, rabbits. These kids have worked hard on these projects, and it'd be nice that they could, to see them get something out of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I've
Any
already
other
gotten.
final board comment?
So,
Uh,
raise your hand.
Clerk Cody, yes.
I would like to see if maybe the manager could look into getting us a one-time recycle pickup and kind of follow the city's, follow them on that one.
I could be supportive of that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a phone call from Commissioner Horton about that a little while ago, a few minutes before the meeting, and he was wondering about that also. So I would like to see that looked into also.
Thanks, Mark. I also wanted to, I'm really disappointed that we can't fill this spot on the planning commission. We need a full board. And I don't think Denise Webster, once she moves, she can't be on the board anymore, and she's moving pretty soon. So we need to fill that spot. We really do.
Well, like I said, we'll entertain more applicants. So if anybody's interested, feel free to drop your application off at the Township Hall or email it. I would say you can't really drop it off. You do have a drop box outside, but the application forms are right on, I think, the Township website on the zoning and planning. I think is it on there, I think?
Yes.
It is.
Any further board member comment?
Yeah, I would
I will
reiterate.
make one last comment. I just appreciate, there's been a lot of interest, I'm assuming, on the extraction ordinance. We've had representatives of the extractors, we've had the extractors, we've had the general public, and I'm very appreciative of the involvement and input that we received from so many, and I want to thank all those that are here tonight that joined us.
I do want to say one thing is I think it's important for residents to understand boundaries. And my boundary is that if you have any type of information that you would wish to have us see, then it can be mailed to the Township Hall or it can be emailed. But what I don't appreciate is when my personal space at my home is violated by propaganda. So I would appreciate it in the future that if anybody has anything that they would like us to read, we have email addresses. You can send us an email or you can mail it to the Township Hall, but I prefer you not to mail it to our homes. Treasurer Rice.
I think what you're talking about is the letter that got mailed out, correct?
The flyer.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess I took it a little differently. I took it as, they were trying to mail it out to the people in the area to make sure that everybody knew that date had changed on our meeting. Because on there it was letting people know that it was May 12th at 7 o'clock. So I guess I took it a little differently because of that. But I guess that's my thought. But I understand where you're coming from, where, you know, you want to make it known, hey, this is my work address, this is my home address. I understand that.
There's a separation, and you know, for that kind of information to be sent to my home, I don't appreciate it. There's other methodologies of getting me that information.
But if I recall, it wasn't sent just to board members. It was sent to people in the area, not just the board members.
I would think probably select few, considering that they're all handwritten. So what is what it is, as they say in The Irishman.
Norm's raising his hand.
Yes.
I appreciate, Kim, what you're saying. You know, I too value boundary, but I think in this case, it was an informational type flyer that was being sent to us. We did change to our usually scheduled Wednesday night meeting to Tuesday. And I think that was informative in that regard. And they wanted to get that information out because, again, as you can see from the participants here tonight, there's a wide variety of citizens that are here tonight, you know, in reaction to this. So I think they needed to be informed. So I was okay with it. I also want to reiterate what Lisa had said. I think it seems only right, and I think I'm going to reinforce too what Smith said, that we have a up and down vote on the two existing candidates that we have for the Planning Commission. I think you know, we had a procedure. We got the applicants together, and then we started going through the applicants. And we went through many where we put 4 people on the board, or 3 people on the board, and from that list of applicants that we had gotten. And so I think it's only reasonable and fair that at least the people are considered for an up and down vote, one way or the other. So I would like to see that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Trustee Howe.
Yes, I agree with you, Ben, on having stuff sent to our homes. We know when the meeting was. They didn't need to be sent to our homes. So that's what I have to say on that. Thank you.
All right. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All right. Clerk Cody, we're going to go through roll.
Trustee Worley,
Yes.
Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
Supervisor Gunning,
Yes.
Trustee Hauk,
Doesn't matter what I say.
say yes or no. Trustee Milky,
Yes.
Trustee Lannon,
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes.
I would like to know Bill's answer.
We need it for the minutes.
Meeting's adjourned. Enough of the silliness.
Yep, I'm sick of it.
See you next meeting.